Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. Today I'm going to show you 4 different meals that I made this week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but below I have linked some similar recipes if you're interested. For tonight's dinner, I am making an easier dinner. I'm making some meatballs and pesto, some broccoli, and some garlic bread. The meatballs that I swear by are the Costco Italian style beef meatballs. So I'm just going to put these on a cooking sheet and put them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. So then I'm going to start working on the pasta. I am using spaghetti noodles, so I'm just going to bring the water to a boil and add a good amount of salt. And then I'm just going to prep the broccoli. I am only cooking for 2 people and I'm not a huge fan of broccoli, so this is why I only have a little bit amount. So I'm just going to add some garlic and herb seasoning, some everything seasoning, and some Cajun seasoning. And then I'm just going to bake these in the oven at about 400 degrees. Once the water comes to a boil, I'm adding just about half a pack of spaghetti noodles. So these are just how the meatballs turned out, and I will add them to the pasta when it's ready. So I drained the pasta and now I'm just adding about half a container of pesto to the noodles, and I'm going to mix that all around and then add the meatballs. So then I'm just going to add the meatballs back to the pasta and some Parmesan cheese. So this is how everything looked once it was done. I love pesto pasta. It is one of my easier meals to make when I want to. The next night I recreated some southern food, so I just made some fried chicken tenders, some baked mac and cheese, and some green beans. I'm just going to show you by section, so I'm going to show you the mac and cheese first and then the chicken. So I am making some homemade mac and cheese, so I am just starting with a roux, which is a mixture of flour and butter. I'm going to add some warm milk. I just had that on low, and then once that thickens up, I'm going to add my cheese. The first cheese that I'm going to add, and I swear by, is Velveeta. It just helps keep the mac and cheese super creamy, especially when you bake it. And then I'm just going to add some sharp cheddar cheese and some Monterey Jack cheese. I then added some salt to taste and some paprika. Once the noodles were cooked to al dente, I just added the cheese sauce on top. I'm going to mix it all together and then place in a baking sheet. And then I'm just going to place it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. You don't want it to dry out, but just until the cheese is melted and brown. This is how the mac and cheese came out. I was super happy with it, so now I'm just going to work on the chicken. For the chicken tenders, I'm just trimming off the fat, and then I'm going to cut the chicken breast in half and cut up about, I think 8 chicken tenders, maybe 8 or 9 chicken tenders. For the breading, I'm just going to season the flour with some paprika to make the chicken more red, some everything seasoning, some Cajun seasoning, and some onion powder. I forgot that I also do add a little bit of sugar. I got that from Chick-fil-A. They add some sugar to their breading. So then I'm just going to bread each chicken tender and get the oil nice and hot. I have the oil on about medium heat, and then I just cook them in there until they're nice golden and brown. This is how half of them turned out. We definitely don't like them too crispy, so I did pull them out at the right time. For the green beans, I wanted to try something different, so I added a sweet and smoky barbecue rub on it, and then some garlic and herb seasoning. And this is how everything looked once it was done. I definitely don't make this often, but I am glad that I did. The third dinner I'm going to show you is Cowboy Quesadillas with corn and black beans. For the side, I just made some chicken flavored rice-a-roni. These are the seasonings I'm going to be using to season the chicken, so I'm just going to start off by cutting the fat of the chicken and then butterflying them in half. I'm going to add a little bit of vegetable oil and then start with my seasonings. I do like to use a lot of paprika. I like my chicken looking smoky and red. I just think it looks pretty aesthetic. With anything that I season, you will see that I am very heavy-handed. I am not stingy with my seasonings. So I'm just going to get the chicken all mixed up and then put it on a pan with a little bit of oil on about medium heat. I'm going to cook the chicken until it's browned on both sides and cooked all the way through. Once the chicken is done, I just let it rest for a couple minutes and then I cut them into bite-sized pieces. We did have a lot of extra chicken. I probably made too much, but I did have enough to make my fiance some lunch. So then I'm going to start on the black bean and corn mixture. So to a pan, I'm just going to add a little bit of oil, add some garlic, and then add the black beans and corn. I added about half of each. I don't know why I'm looking like I'm counting the corn and beans, but I'm just going to add some Cajun seasoning and some everything seasoning. For myself, I'm just going to make half of a quesadilla, which is totally out of frame. I apologize. So I'm just adding some cheese, the chicken, the corn and beans mixture, and some chipotle sauce. I use canola oil spray to make quesadillas. I think it's healthier, but also it just helps it crisp up better and not get soggy. Here's how it looked when it was done. I just topped it with some jalapeno sour cream, some queso fresco, and some cilantro. The last meal that I'm going to show you is some Japanese chicken yakisoba. I'm going to take one chicken breast and dice it up into thin, long, bite-sized pieces. To marinate the chicken, I'm going to use some soy sauce, some garlic salt, some onion powder, and some chicken bouillon powder. For the mixed vegetables, I'm going to use some onions, some cabbage, some broccoli. You can also use some shredded carrots, but I didn't have any. So I'm just going to go ahead and season the mixed vegetables. I am just going to use some vegetable oil, garlic salt, onion powder, and some pepper. So I forgot to press record when I was cooking the chicken, but I am just doing the same thing to the mixed vegetables. To a pan, I'm just going to add some garlic and oil, saute that up, add the vegetables until they're nice, soft, and wilted. Then I'm going to add the ramen noodles with some soy sauce and some Kung Pao chicken sauce from Panda Express. I use the sriracha to add some spice, which is just personal preference. Once everything is combined, I'm going to add my chicken, mix that all together, and add some more sauce if needed. For the side, I'm just going to add some Trader Joe's pork gyoza, I don't know how to say that, and everything is done. Thank you so much for watching this week's video. Come back next week for another one.